Hey, let me just touch me.
Do I need to let my hair down? Do I look like a page boy?
We're matching. Ooh, mystery. We like it. Are you also that weird?
No.
Oh,
Shall we crack on?
yeah.
Hello and welcome to Uphill From Here.
This is Catherine.
And this is Amy. And it's episode 5.
And we're matching.
We are matching. Yay!
We didn't plan this. We literally jumped on the
No.
call. We're like, do we change? No, we embrace it. Donna's still alive. Haven't killed her yet.
What are we talking about this week, Amy?
We are talking about, nearly forgot. We are talking about success.
Success. Woo! Last week we were sad. This week we're optimistic. We're talking about success. Success.
And very importantly, we have our very first guest this week. We have our first guest letter, which we'll introduce after our letters, but we're very excited. Yeah,
we started with my letter last week, didn't we?
Oh Lord, that means I'm first. Okay.
So, Amy has said, Dear 2019 Amy, you succeeded. While 2019 was both an exciting and challenging year for you in many different ways, you made it through. Turning 21 may not have looked exactly as you had once planned it, but that doesn't mean that your life hasn't, that doesn't mean that your life has been a failure. You succeeded in your studies, graduated with a first-class honours. You succeeded in your career, earning your first professional credit. You succeeded in moving to London, something you've wanted a long, long time. But these are just your highlight reel. There was also an equal measure of failure, of struggle, of times you didn't feel proud of or want to celebrate. You had more than one relationship breakdown. You worked in a job you weren't always happy in. You doubted yourself. You suffered countless rejections. But these things, while some may class them as failings, were the things that made your success all the more important. And now, during lockdown 2020, you are single, unemployed, and back living in rural Scotland with your parents. This is not what you had hoped for or planned. This also isn't a failure. Just because life doesn't always turn out the way you plan does not mean you have failed. If you are happy, proud of what you're doing, and trying to make a positive impact, then you are successful. Keep reminding yourself of that, Amy. What made you want to write back to last year, you?
So 21 was quite a big year for me because it's one of those ages when growing up, I was like, oh, when I'm 21, I had an idea of how my life would look. So when I was a lot younger, I was like, I'm not going to uni. I'm just gonna, my dream was to live in a camper van and travel and sell cupcakes. I also thought by 21, I'd have my first child. That was, when I was younger, I was like, by 21,
Yeah.
married with a kid because that's what my parents did. So I thought that's how my life would look at 21. So yeah, last year turning 21, my life didn't look like I thought it was going to when I was younger. That was really, really important for me.
Just because you didn't achieve what you thought you would achieve at a young age, like you say, doesn't mean that you haven't had so many other successes besides that.
I was actually having this conversation with my parents last night. We were talking about young women feeling that pressure of age and feeling that the ticking biological clock in the back of their head that perhaps males don't, which might not affect their choices in education and career as much as maybe for women who are also thinking about when they might want to have a child if they do want to do that and start a family. So for me, that was the most important thing, and still is. Being a mum is still a very important goal of mine. It's just not come along when I was 21, and it's not in my like near future plans. But I don't think that's a failure. And to me, monetary value meant nothing. Like I didn't deem having lots of money as being successful because that's not what I had. I think definitely you are affected by those around you, and you see people growing up that you kind of look up to and think, oh, I want to be successful like that person, and that's what you identify as success. So it's definitely relative. I think not everyone as a teenager thought by 21 I'll have kids, and that's not what they wanted. Well, it's a personal choice what you're aiming towards. I think it's good to have that goal and that idea of what success means to you. That's different for everyone.
you spoke about kind of lockdown and how, like, you know, you're now in a position in 2020 at the age of 22 where you are now like unemployed and you've had to move back into your parents' home and all those sorts of things. And that, like you say, that's not a failure. So what successes have you had in lockdown that would probably never have happened if lockdown hadn't have come along?
Yeah, that's actually a good question. I didn't think about that. Thank you. Well, yeah, like I said, so lockdown, yeah, single, unemployed, living with my parents. And maybe in the past that would have been deemed as a failure to me. That's just where I'm at. And I think it's not a failure. I'm actually currently the happiest I've been in quite a long time in that failure. I think
Yeah.
say it's the success is starting a podcast with one of my best friends, using social media to meet new people, starting my own small skincare business, like being able to sew again and make my own clothes. Like those are little successes, like exercising more. Those are little successes, and you can find those in like shorter time scales, which something it's nice to celebrate. If I just still had the same mindset as last year when I was graduating as to success is getting my first professional credit, getting my first job. If I had that now, it's not going to happen because the theatre industry is kind of shut down right now. If that was my idea of success right now, then I'd be miserable because that's what I'd be comparing my life right now to. It's all relative to where you are right now. Okay, let's read yours. Catherine's written, to people who tell themselves they are unsuccessful, what do we define as success? For many, success only comes in huge doses. It's an engagement, a big break, having their own business, being a manager, achieving a massive goal. Although these things are huge successes in our lives, these are not the only things that make us successful. In order to achieve large-scale success, I also believe we must celebrate and give thanks for the smaller successes. Today I successfully got out of bed, worked out and got myself ready. Only small successes, but they make me feel great. Me and one of my closest friends have successfully set up a podcast. Ooh, you did a podcast? Since when?
I know.
Why did you not tell me? Even though our audience isn't big at this stage, it is running successfully. Every week an episode goes out and we get some views. This is a successful achievement. I feel there's a lot of pressure on young people to be successful nowadays, meaning they have to have big achievements to prove to others that they're not wasting their time. But success is only measured on how you feel about it. Someone can have the highest paid job in their field, but they might not have had time to shower that morning because they slept in late. But someone may currently be out of work but manage to get up and ready and apply for a few jobs. Both of these people are successful. They just measure their successes. They just measure their successes with different rulers. Don't be so hard on yourself. Love Kat, who successfully showered today. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I love the part about different rulers.
Really?
I love that. I love that.
It like came to me in a vision.
I really, really like that. So yeah. I want to know, what does your ruler look like? To you, what is a big success and what is a small success? Where does that start and end for you?
To me, a big success is a job opportunity, or kind of, you know, getting a nice place to live, kind of getting my dream place with all the little, what word am I looking for, like nitpicky bits that I want in a place for me to live in. Like, yeah, like that is a big achievement. And, you know, doing something that you never thought you'd be able to do, or you never thought you'd have the opportunity to try that, like that's a big achievement.
So what, if you were to paint a picture then of what success looks like to you personally, just day to day, not like big long-term bucket list life goals, what does a successful person look like?
Person that's happy with what they've achieved. So for me, I know that I feel unsuccessful if I haven't done something that day. Even if that's, you know, watch that documentary I wanted to watch, or watch a film I wanted to watch today, or had a bath that I said this morning, I'm going to have a bath later. Like, I feel more successful if I have checked those things off that I said I was going to do. And to me, that's what a successful person looks like.
And do you think, because you talk about measuring success, the ruler idea is really sticking with me, and it's really interesting, because I'm not sure that all successes can be measured.
Mm-hmm.
Because like when you think of success, you think of big milestones, you think of promotions and money, and those are things that can be seen and can be measured. Like, I've got a pay rise or a promotion and I get X much more, or I've saved this much, or I have this house now that's worth X amount, and those are all measurable. But for me, who doesn't place value on like material things and monetary value, my success is just how happy I am and how good I make the people around me feel and how good I feel. And that's not something you can really measure, or people don't tend to measure those things. They don't place their own feelings in high enough regard.
But you are measuring them. If you think about it, like logistically, you are measuring those things, because if you're not as happy today as you were yesterday, you're measuring that, because you're saying, on the scale, yesterday I was lower than I am today, and today I am higher than I was yesterday. And you are always measuring those things. Say, for example, we got our dream job. You're measuring that to the job that you had before. Even though the job that you had before might be in your field, you're still saying, but this one has more than what the last one did. And therefore I feel slightly more successful in this one because it's more close to where I want to be.
Yeah. Because we previously talked about how comparison can be a really negative thing. But I think that's more in terms of when you compare your successes to other people's successes. I think, like you say, everyone has their own ruler, everyone has their own scale. So a success, like you say, for you, getting a certain job, that to you would be like, wow, this is amazing, like that's a great success. But for someone that's had like further on in their career, to them that's not a success. So like we say, it's just all relative to your scale and how you measure success. There is a lot of pressure to be successful, and yeah, for a lot of people that might look like having a great job, having a good income. That might be the stereotypical idea of a successful person. But I have a little story. I remember speaking to someone I used to work with in theatre, and their dad worked in like quite a well-paid industry, and he worked a 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, every single day, really long hours for him, slogging away, and every single day he just hated his job. He was miserable. He didn't enjoy what he did, but he was able to retire early and have a lot of amazing savings to be able to go on holidays and enjoy his retirement with his wife. And then I said, but do you think that your dad regrets wasting his entire working life being miserable for those last 10, 20, 30 years of retirement being happy? Like, is that success, being able to retire early but being miserable your whole working life, hating your job? Or is working most of your life in jobs that just give you fulfillment so much more important? Because to me that is.
Or to somebody else, their life might not be dictated by work. My mum is the longest standing employee in her company. She's worked in her company for nearly 45 years. And, you know, she doesn't necessarily rave about her job. But now, you know, she's kind of like, well, it's a job and it puts money on the table and it feeds my kids, and, you know, it gives me the opportunity to help my kids along in their lives, and, you know, buy them a Hoover if they need it. And to her, that is success, because she's successfully been able to bring up her children in the way that she wanted to. For some people, jobs are about money and that's all they care about. They just need, and not even about large amounts of money, just about enough to live, so that they can go on a nice holiday once a year and have some nice things for Christmas. And to some people, that's success and that's all they want. But don't necessarily base your whole life around being at the top, because it's like, once you're at the top, then where do you go?
Yeah.
Then what do you have other than work? You don't have anything else.
Like, if you, do you know what I mean? If you're aiming really, really high all the time and giving yourself these massive goals, they're going to succeed and it's going to be a massive success, but the chance, like, there is a chance that it also might be an even bigger failure, and you'll feel more upset and more pressure because you put so much importance on this huge goal. And like you said, it's important to just find that simplicity and the everyday successes, because then you're not risking your own happiness as much.
It's like putting all your eggs in one basket. You drop the basket, all your eggs are broken.
And you can't make any cake.
You know, sometimes it's that idea of like simplicity. And for some people, simplicity is bliss and simplicity is successful.
Just being content. I think sometimes if you're constantly, it's good to have goals and things like that, will be amazing, but I've definitely found, especially in lockdown, coming back to like a very rural, quiet town in Scotland, like where people don't necessarily have these big, like, shoot for the moon aspirations, but they live simple lives and they're quite happy. And to them is being successful, just raising a family, having a nice home. And like, that's something nice and warm and comforting about that. To me, I've always kind of been like, but there's more out there, and and I've always been frustrated at people that don't see that. But I think it really made me think, like, it's all just relative to what you define as success. And I think that's something lovely about that, about recognizing that this is your success and you've done amazing, and appreciating someone else's happiness, and they can do the same for you. I think now is a great time to move on to our brand new segment, which we're very excited for. Dear Kat and Amy.
Yay. Very exciting. The new segment of Dear Kat and Amy is where we have someone of either influence or someone in our lives to write us a letter to our mantelpiece, and for us to share it and share our thoughts and share our feelings and our first reactions to that person's letter. You can get in touch with us via email, uphillfromherepodcast @gmail.com, or through the Instagram @uphillfromherepodcast, which we are on Instagram and Facebook.
Because obviously, like, this started as a conversation between us two as friends, and now the kind of the community has grown a little bit, and people are engaging with the podcast, which is great. And we really want to allow people to have that platform to voice their experiences and pass on their advice and their wisdom, and just keep this conversation open to as many people as possible, which is so exciting.
I'm going to let Amy introduce this week's guest.
Very, very, and very excited and honoured that our first guest is my dear, dear friend B. We met 2 years ago now. We worked at a summer camp in America, and we just instantly become best friends. She now lives in New Zealand with her partner and my other dear friend Fiona. I love them both very, very much. B was a massive role model and really helped change my life that summer at camp. She's so inspirational. She's amazing. She's brilliant. She's iconic. She is a queen bee. So if you want to check her out, all her socials are going to be linked below. She is a life coach and just positive, inspirational person to have around. So go and give her a follow. And she's also thinking about starting her own podcast. So go and show her some love and tell her you'd love to see that, because who wouldn't? And let's watch her letter.
Dear Kat and Amy, in order to be successful, you need to understand what success actually means. The dictionary defines it as the accomplishment of an aim or purpose. But none of us have exactly the same aims or purposes for life. So it makes no sense that society seems to dictate on when and how we're considered a success. I'm 28 years old. I've been married, I've been divorced, and I've not spent more than 18 months in one job. I moved to another country before paying off my credit card back home, and I don't have a lot of money now either. I've never got good at a hobby. I've suffered an eating disorder and depression, and I can't even keep a single houseplant alive. My success story doesn't seem very successful, but throughout my 20s, I've come to appreciate the actual meaning of success. It isn't my bank account or my career or the number of social media followers I've got or how many friends or how popular I am. I've learned that success is whatever I want it to be. And success isn't what I have, but rather what I've done, who I am, who loves me and just how happy and fulfilled I am. Because all of the things that would make me seem unsuccessful on paper, in reality, made me the success that I am today. I recovered from my eating disorder and made peace with my body. I grew and got stronger through my divorce. I became resilient through my need to start again after my marriage broke down, and my move to New Zealand has taught me to never give up and to be brave, and that if you work hard enough, what you want can become a reality. And these attributes of my personality that I'm so proud of now only came from those unsuccessful parts and times in my life. Your success is different to mine, and that's okay. And your hopes and dreams and aims and purposes are different to mine, and that's okay too, because we all have our own lives to live. And before you write yourself off for being unsuccessful, you need to take a look at what you've achieved so far, because I am a success story without a career and without a lot of money. I'm a success story because I'm happy and because I live a life that fulfills me and gives me everything that I want. And I'm successful because I say I am. So I don't know about you, and I don't know what your aims and purposes are that you want to accomplish to make you successful. But just remember, and take it from me, who's lived it a bit, that being successful is going to look different to you than it is to your friends. And just because it's different doesn't mean that you failed at being a success.
You know, I think for me, as a 22-year-old, it's nice to hear someone kind of say that, and it gives you that like validity of, okay, so I'm not doing that badly. Like everything's actually pretty all right. It was so nice to hear someone that's come to terms with the fact that not everything is going to always be great, and that, you know, learn out of the things that are unsuccessful of how to make it better next time.
So we haven't experienced divorce or some of the things Bea mentioned, like they're huge things, and to be able to talk about them with such grace and just to have taken a positive from a situation that I can't even imagine is so difficult. Bea is so influential to me. She's one of my closest friends, although she lives on the other side of the world, which sucks. She's amazing. She is just amazing, and she is what I would look up to and be like, I want to be as happy and successful as she is. But like she explained that her successes have come from the resilience through those unsuccessful times. And that's why I love her even more, is because she's happy and she's creating a wonderful life for herself despite all that.
Like she says, you know, her success isn't her career, it isn't her, you know, being married or anything like that. It's how happy she is from day to day. And that's really important to remember.
You claim that. You decide what your goals and your aspirations are and what makes you happy. And if you can identify them, no one can tell you that you're unsuccessful. And what's great about that as well is because other people in society isn't dictating to you what success looks like, then that can change. I'm sure like all three of us, our expectation of what success might have looked like when we were younger, when Bea was our age, might look different to what it looks like now. And that is only because you claim your own success and you decide the path that you're on and your purpose, and that's very personal, and that can change. I know Bea has spoken before about redirection in life. A lot of people think failing and being unsuccessful and something not working out is just it's a failure and it's a negative, but it's not. It redirects you onto a different path that is a path you're supposed to be on.
I think that's a lovely place to end it.
I think it is. Well, thank you so much for joining us on another little podcast adventure. We hope you're still enjoying Yeah, if you do want to get in touch, Catherine, tell them how they can do that. We'd love to chat.
You can get in touch with us through our Instagram and Facebook at Uphill From Here Podcast, or through our email, which is uphillfromherepodcast@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you. Like we say, send us your letters, send us your feedback.
So if you would like to take part like B has and send us a little letter, collaborate with us, do get in touch. Thank you so much for your support. Everyone's been amazing and we're just loving this. We're having so much fun. We hope you're enjoying it too. And we'll see you next week.
We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
That's it.
Smashed it.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah. Your face there was me when I see cake. Yes, but a very attractive moose may call the male moose go.
Anyway.
Illuminati confirmed.
What?
That's a good word. No one likes a
Moist.
dry muffin.
So what is wrong with us today?
Well, I didn't cry this week, so that's already a success in my eyes.